Hi, this is the 34th video. I'm recording this on Monday, 10th of October. I'm having chemotherapy at the moment, so feeling very tired, very fatigued. But okay, I haven't had any other side effects really except for my skin rash, which is calming down for a bit but expected to restart in a few days. This video is all about how to get a world-class education just from watching TV, which is going to be great. So I'm going to introduce 3 documentary series. And the first one is Civilization. It's called Civilization: A Personal View by Lord Clark. And this is a history of civilization. But it's a history of civilization but introduced through art and architecture and music. And it's really good. It's quite amazing. It was I think one of the first really epic documentary series on the BBC. Goes to 100 different countries. It was made possibly 1969 is when it was first shown. So it's great just to see what places looked like in the late 60s. Italy, France, all of Europe. And one of the things that this really taught me is what civilization is and what it means when things are not a civilization. So the beginning of the documentary explains, for example, why the Vikings were not a civilization. And the sort of definition that this implies of civilization is that civilization is really about taking action today that is going to have more benefit in the future. So not just trying to scrape by surviving today, but things like storing food long term, not just for a few days' time, but for a long-term food storage, long-term growing of food, long-term construction, not just moving from place to place. And we think of, at least in England, that we were always taught that civilization is very destructive. But this is nonsense, really. And it's interesting, if you look at very primitive societies, we think of them as being in balance with nature, and this is absolute junk. The whole field of archaeology is based on the fact that primitive civilizations cause huge amounts of destruction, huge amounts of rubbish. That's how we know what old dwellings were like, because they would just dump all the junk on the ground, all the broken pots, all the food waste, and really what we see is maybe dynamic equilibrium. So if you take wandering tribes, for example, that are really not a civilization, they're not settling in one place and planning for the future, they're not behaving in a way towards each other that plans for the future. Because one of the things about civilization is that we work with other people who we may not necessarily like, but we think it's beneficial to both groups in the future. So tribes that don't do that don't make those alliances, or make only the most temporary of alliances, they're not civilizations. And if we look at their behaviour, really they live somewhere until they've completely drained it of resources and then moved on. So it's certainly not it's not some amazing balance with nature. This is a myth taught in England, at least, possibly taught in other countries as well. So that's the first series. The second series is also a history of civilization. It's called The Ascent of Man, presented by Jakub Brunowski, who is a scientist and anthropologist, I guess you could say. I think he primarily is actually a physicist. This is 4 years after the Civilization DVDs, and this is far more focused on science and technology, but also art as well. The ideas in art, like perspective, that really changed how humans lived. This is how many episodes? I think probably 10 episodes, and 663 minutes. So you got about 10 hours, and it's fantastic. Both the Civilization box set and this one come with a little series guide. I'm just dropping. All about how they were filmed and the different episodes. So really worth getting the DVD box sets of these. Talks about the humans noticing the hidden structures, first starting to look into space seriously. He visits a lot of locations, all filmed on locations. Industrial Revolution taught me that we always think, at least in England, we think of the Industrial Revolution as being steam powered, but really Industrial Revolution was water powered. It was water wheels first of all. Discovery of evolution by Charles Darwin. Discovery of the elements. So a program called The World Within, looking at Mendeleev, who noticed those patterns. Niels Bohr, who proposed structures of the atoms. Quite amazing. 13 episodes. Talk about the ability of humans to plan for the future. Just fantastic stuff. Really worth watching this and Civilization. And then a final one, which I talked about in the previous videos, I mentioned in the previous videos, Cosmos, Carl Sagan. So the first two documentary series I introduced are British. This one is American, and is I think 1970s. This one is more focused on space, although there is quite a bit about the history of science and development of humans as well. And it's written and presented by Carl Sagan, and I think it's 15 episodes. Because they're American, they're less than 1 hour. I think it says 13 hours of footage on 5 discs. I think it's 15 episodes. And one of the nice things about the DVD box set, there's no episode guide in, unfortunately, I guess to keep the cost down. But one of the nice things is that there are little updates filmed a few years ago about how the knowledge has changed since this was made. Most of it is most of what's said is still correct now, but some of the updates correct a few things, but mostly just add some things there. With these 3 DVD box sets, the Cosmos, Ascent of Man, and Civilization. I mean, with those 3, you're going to be watching quite a few hours of stuff. Probably close on to 36 something hours, about probably 35 hours of stuff, you would get a very, very good education about why we're living in this way that we're living now, where we've got to. You would really get a good grounding in a lot of scientific thought and a lot of philosophy and a lot of art, in fact. So I massively recommend getting all three and just watching one episode of each a night. Over a period of a year, you'd have a really, really good education, much better than you get in most schools. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you found this at all useful, please share it. I'm desperately trying to raise more money for my cancer fund. I need another £15,000 for more immunotherapy. My cancer fund website is www.matthewdons.org. That's MATTHEWDONS. Your donation helps me fight my terminal cancer. Your donation helps me live longer. If I live longer, there are two possibilities. One is that my cancer may actually be cured by the immunotherapy. Another possibility, if I live longer, is a new treatment will come up. Cancer treatment's improving all the time. I'm desperate to live, really desperate to live. Not for me, but for my kids. Desperate to live for my children, particularly my son, who is my son's going to be 8 years old in February. So he's at that age where he understands what it means when someone dies. I'm just desperate to live for him. So if you can help me, please do. Just sharing this video, writing a comment, clicking on the little thumbs up sign, all of that makes YouTube more likely to show and suggest these videos to other people. So that makes a big difference. Writing a comment makes a huge difference as well. YouTube counts how many comments are given, and videos with more comments get seen by more people. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope it's been useful for you. Please buy those DVDs for yourself. Thank you. Bye.